The iPhone 13 mini is Apple's last mini iPhone for the foreseeable future, and in this video we're going to discuss its tech specs, its design, how it compares to newer iPhones, we'll snap some photos and videos with it, and talk about how this phone holds up here in 2025. So the 13 mini features a 5.4-inch display, which is very small by today's standards. It has flat aluminum sides and a glossy back glass with a dual camera system, all in a not only very compact package, but also a very modern feeling package with the current iPhone design style. The 13 mini is quite literally just a mini iPhone 13. Every feature and specification of this phone is identical to the larger iPhone 13, except for the smaller display size of 5.4 inches as opposed to the larger 6.1 inches on the larger 13, and also the 13 mini's smaller battery capacity of 2400 milliamp hours as opposed to the larger 13's 3200 milliamp hours, but literally everything else is identical, from the modern boxy style iPhone design to the dual 12 megapixel camera system to the A15 chip. In terms of display tech, we're working with an OLED 60Hz panel with a peak brightness of 800 nits in typical situations and up to 1200 nits when viewing HDR content. Simply put, this display is great. It's sharp, vibrant, and plenty bright. The only two things left to be desired by a small subset of users is it lacking a higher 120Hz refresh rate, which would give it smoother looking animations and scrolling, and also the peak brightness levels not reaching as high as newer iPhones like the iPhone 16 for example, which can get all the way up to 2000 nits when outdoors in direct sunlight. But again, generally speaking, there's nothing bad to say about this display. And guys, as someone whose work is entirely remote, I spend a lot of time working in coffee shops using unsecured public Wi-Fi networks almost every day, which is why I teamed up with NordVPN, who sponsored today's video. NordVPN makes your online experience substantially safer with just a click, allowing you to securely browse the web without the concern of anyone intercepting your sensitive data. It does so by encrypting your online traffic and masking your IP address. It also provides the huge advantage of accessing content libraries not available in your country or region, which lets you access your favorite content even when you're traveling by staying at home virtually, thanks to the thousands of NordVPN servers available. NordVPN also protects you from scamming and malicious websites, malicious files, and phishing attacks with its built-in Threat Protection Pro system. It even features a dark web monitor which continuously scans the seedy underbelly of the internet even when you're not connected to a VPN server. So no matter what, you can take immediate action if any of your details are discovered. NordVPN also features blazing fast speeds and unlimited VPN bandwidth. So if you're interested in keeping your sensitive data safe and secure, head to nordvpn.com/iDevice to get a 2-year plan plus 4 additional months with a huge discount. It's risk-free with Nord's 30-day money-back guarantee. Huge thank you to NordVPN for sponsoring this video and for keeping my sensitive data safe and secure. So as I briefly mentioned earlier, the 13 mini features a 12 megapixel main lens and a 12 megapixel ultra-wide lens on the back, in addition to a 12 megapixel front-facing lens as well. This camera system is still really good. When compared to the newest iPhones, no substantial differences jump out at first glance. Having such a capable camera in a device as compact as this is really nice, and as I said earlier, you're getting the exact same camera system that the larger iPhone 13 has. Now, the only substantial downside that all standard tier iPhones prior to the 15 series have is a lesser 12 megapixel main lens instead of the higher 48 megapixel main lens that Apple started including with the iPhone 15 and newer. This difference is going to be most noticeable when you zoom in very close on a photo after taking it. There is noticeably less detail on older iPhones like the 13 mini here in comparison to the newer ones like the 15 and 16. And also, the latest iPhone 15 and 16 now get a 2x optical quality zoom thanks to the higher 48 megapixel main sensor. You can, of course, still get a 2x zoom on older iPhones like the 13 mini here, but it won't be quite as sharp as the newer iPhones. And the absolute maximum digital zoom for photos on the 13 mini is 5x, where on the latest iPhones it's 10x. And 0.5x shots taken with the ultra-wide lens look great and will be indistinguishable from newer iPhones in the vast majority of shooting conditions. And even though this is very much to be expected considering it's a pretty new feature, the 13 mini, in addition to every other standard tier iPhone besides the latest 16, lacks the macro photography capability. And the 12 megapixel front-facing camera is quite good. It's nothing special, but it has more than enough quality for your typical front-facing front-facing photos. Video recording on the 13 mini is fantastic. It gives you that classic iPhone video look and quality thanks to Apple's video processing mechanisms, and at first glance is seriously almost identical to the latest iPhone 16's video in most typical lighting conditions. It's seriously good. So even with it lacking the latest 48 megapixel main lens that Apple now puts in their iPhones, the 12 megapixel setup the 13 mini has includes everything most people will ever need and more, all in this very compact form factor. The 13 mini is powered by the A15 chip with 4 gigs of RAM, and it's responsive and very well optimized on the current iOS 18. And this phone is very likely going to receive 3 more years of major iOS updates. We know it's supported by Apple's upcoming iOS 26 update, which will be dropping this fall, and it'll likely get 2 more years of major iOS updates on top of that, being iOS 27 and iOS 28. As Apple's recent patterns indicate, most iPhones receive 7 years of major iOS update support nowadays. And considering the 13 mini is currently on its 4th major iOS version with iOS 18, we should have another good 3 more years left to go, which is great news for anyone who's a die-hard fan of smaller iPhones, as Apple isn't going to be making any new small iPhones for the foreseeable future. But the impressive longevity and long software update support of iPhones nowadays allows you to have that small iPhone experience without any significant compromises for a while longer through using the 13 mini on the latest iOS updates. So, as I mentioned earlier, the 13 mini has a very small battery capacity by today's standards of 2400 mAh, which again is quite a lot smaller than the full-size iPhone 13's 3200 mAh, and also in comparison to more modern iPhones like the current iPhone 16's 3500 mAh. This is to be expected with an iPhone as small and compact as this. There's just a lot less space in the enclosure for a larger battery. This being said, the 13 mini's battery performance isn't bad by any means, so long as you have a battery that isn't significantly degraded. The 13 mini certainly has better battery performance in comparison to the previous iPhone 12 mini, which had a smaller battery. But of course, it's still not going to be as good as a full-size iPhone with a much larger battery. And of course, as is the case with any older iPhone, here in 2025, which is 4 years after the 13 mini's launch, the vast majority of 13 minis have some level of battery degradation. So as always, if you're going to buy any used iPhone, make sure it has a minimum battery capacity of around 85% or higher, as if you get an iPhone with a lower battery health than that, you're starting off with an iPhone that already has significantly worse battery performance than it did when it was new. So all things considered, the 13 mini is really impressive in 2025. This phone packs so much modern iPhone tech into a very compact package without making it any less premium. You still get an edge-to-edge, full-screen OLED iPhone display experience, just smaller. You also get the modern iPhone design elements like the flatter sides, alongside all the same capabilities the full-size iPhone 13 has. You can get a good, used, unlocked 13 mini for around $230 to $240, which, if you ask me, is a crazy good value if you're somebody who wants a compact phone, and again, is one of very few options if you want a compact iPhone. I mean, you can get a used 12 mini or a used iPhone SE 3rd or 2nd gen for even cheaper, which are also compact iPhones still supported by current major iOS. But if you're able to, I'd recommend going for the 13 mini if you're in the market for a compact iPhone, as it's the most premium and advanced compact iPhone that you can get, and you can get it for a very good price in the used market at less than $300. And as much as there is a very dedicated, die-hard group of people that love small iPhones like this, the mass market is heavily trending towards larger phones. And as a result, here in 2025, Apple no longer sells any compact iPhones. The smallest iPhone screen you can get is 6.1 inches. It's certainly the last of its kind for the foreseeable future, but I can confidently say it still has several more years of great usability to come. Let me know your thoughts on the 13 mini and mini iPhones in general in the comments down below. Thank you all so much for watching, and of course, as always, I'll catch you in the next one.